Hi guys, this is Robin with Weight Loss Apocalypse. I am doing this vlog today in response to a question I get all the time. Because I didn't go into a whole lot of detail in this aspect in Weight Loss Apocalypse. I get asked if, here's my dog Potato. So if you're, that's what you're hearing if you hear someone digging or anything. No, I do not follow Dr. Simeon's weighing suggestions that he makes in P3 or phase 2. He recommends that in order to stabilize, he recommended that you at all times maintain within a 2-pound deviation from the weight you are the last day you inject or dose your HCG. Meaning if you weighed 150 the last day that you injected your HCG, you need to be between 148 and 152 within that range during P3. And he recommended you carry your scale with you at all times so that you can make sure that you keep it there. He also wrote that he noticed people who lose weight tend to always gain it back. So by maintaining your weight at that zone, you should lock in that hypothalamus and you shouldn't have an issue, the same metabolic issues you had prior to your protocol. The clinic I work at does not subscribe to that concept for a few reasons. First of all, the concept of gravity's pull to the earth, that is what you're measuring when you're weighing. That has very little to do with actually what's going on hormonally during that part or that transition into the second phase or P3. So what we encourage instead is the goal being we need to stabilize hormones so that your brain acclimates, because you're really looking at a brain acclimation and maintaining your physical hormones to where your body can get used to the new level of hormones that your fat is releasing. Remember, if you lost 20 pounds of fat during your very low calorie protocol, that's 20 pounds of fat cells. That's billions. That's billions of cells that no longer secrete leptin and other hormones into your body. So what we're really looking to do is to retrain the brain to memorize how much hormones you have now with 20 pounds less producing those hormones. So weight isn't necessarily a measure of what we're trying to stabilize. Hey, Susie, I'm on this. It is your hormones. That is one of the primary reasons I encourage, one of the benefits why I encourage using the use of hunger rhythms during your very low calorie protocol, so that when you transition into the second phase or P3, you're not freaked out or freaked out less, because almost everybody has anxiousness transitioning into the P3 because you're going to be increasing your food significantly. And not only that, but you're going to be adding in fats. So any of you who dieted during the 1980s and the early 90s, you were conditioned to believe that fat is the devil. And even so, patients that we work with who are in their 40s and their 50s and 60s, they tend to freak out even worse, because during that second phase or P3, it's required that you add a significant amount of fat back into your food intake. So the fear and anxiousness over gaining is a really big deal. And that is, common, and it's understandable, and we see it with everybody. However, the goal here is to learn how to eat using your body's mechanisms and your body awareness, and to be totally 100% accountable and responsible for your behavior. The problem with weighing is that it's abused a lot. In fact, how often have you excused overconsumption and eating and fat gain because you feel like you can lose that weight later? So the whole game of weight is used for and against your body. And it can swing one way or the other depending on what you emotionally are looking for. So the goal in removing the scale is that you're responsible to eat less based on your hunger rhythms, and that it isn't motivated through some form of compensation for feeling bad about your body. What I suggest for all of our patients is to assume when you transition that you're going to gain all of your fat back, because that's ultimately the risk you take by not trying to micromanage or control your food through calorie consumption, calorie counting, through portion sizing, and by eliminating that measure of weight, you really have to have a lot of faith and a lot of trust in your body. And that is ultimately what most people are lacking, because they've put too much faith and trust in a diet. So without a diet, what do you use to then navigate how you're going to eat? And by eliminating the scale, you're eliminating the concept of body image. And so when you think about that, if you didn't have your weight or even a body measurement, how do you know when to eat? How do you know what to eat? How do you know if what you're doing is working? Well, what we're going to try to do is get you to start using some intrinsic sense and body awareness. There's plenty of research out there that shows that people who use outside measurements, such as the scale or waist measurements or physical parameters that are outside of the human body, that they tend to lose their own ability to sense their body. And many of you who have chronically dieted, it's almost a very scary thing to let go of that scale, because you are that's the only way you get information, because you've lost your own sense of your own body. So a big part of recovering from that that mind frame is to let go of your control with weight. Weighing is a form of control. So if you let go of that weight, then you're forced to trust that your body's signals are accurate and that you are accurate in assessing them. And when you learn, in a 3-week period of time, it is amazing how people's relationship with food changes as soon as you let go of the scale. So I always encourage that. And I have yet to see it fail. So you might not continue to lose, but you should stabilize hormonally, which is super important. So take out all the emotional stuff. Physically, it's really important you hormonally stabilize. So, and that goes both ways too. Keep in mind, if you undereat, you're also training your hormones to go low, your thyroid to lessen, your adrenals to fatigue or be more overactive, and that's just as bad as overconsumption. So, you know, again, using hunger is a very important way for you to help your body stabilize. Looking at the scale, that's gravity's pull to the earth, and that has absolutely nothing. There's no use as far as information is concerned as how you're stabilizing. So it is usually a side effect, although what I've noticed is that there are plenty of people who continue to lose without even trying in the 3 weeks after the very low calorie protocol. That they're eating, they're matching hunger, they're significantly adding fat, maybe 40% to 50% of their food intake is from nuts, nut butters, animal fats, butter, avocados, creams, fish oils. It's a lot of fat. And they continue to lose just because their body is stable. It is stable in their way. And so that's the other thing that we conflict with Dr. Simeon's. We don't necessarily see that people who continue to lose gain it back. And I think a lot of that has to do with the change in the way they're no longer dieting. So that's removed the whole binge concept. So just keep this in mind. If you're going to continue to diet, you need to expect to continue to overeat. They go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. So again, I also think that removal of weight also takes away the whole diet concept, because how are you basing the success of your diet if you're not going to use a physical parameter? So I don't know if that answers very much. But there's a couple of videos that I have about the transition from P2 to P3. You might want to go watch some of those too. So, okay, goodbye from Tato. Tato, say bye-bye.